Coming up on Tekzilla, we interview Adam Pash from Lifehacker. Are the upscaling processors and AV receivers better than a standalone unit? We give advice on choosing security webcams for the home. And will Tor protect your data as well as your identity online? So boil up that macaroni and heat up that cheddar cheese sauce, because Tekzilla starts now. This episode of Tekzilla is made possible by The Ben Heck Show, building, modding, and electronics, brought to you exclusively by Element 14, GoDaddy.com, and Netflix.
Hey, I'm Robert Heron.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Welcome to Tekzilla, hands-on reviews of the latest tech and how to make the most out of the gear you already own.
Whether you're a beginner or tech support for your friends and family, or if you've got a question about tech, or why there's so much backstabbing and political intrigue in the Game of Thrones.
What's a Game of Thrones?
I'm leaving.
Okay. Hey, and if we don't, we'll track down someone who does.
You didn't see you don't even know what the Game of Thrones is?
I am focused on Portal 2. That is it.
Different things. You can do both.
Thrones.
All right.
Royalty?
Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones originally was a book series created by George R.R. Martin. And it's excellent, one of my favorite fantasy-related book series.
Cool.
And they recently started a show on HBO all about the books. Well, it's not about the books. It has the same plot line as the books. It's based on the books.
Very cool.
And it's very good. It's really developing into like a really intense, awesome TV show, like new Sunday night favorite thing. The downside is, of course, you have to get HBO in order to see it.
That cuts me off right there, but I'm willing to do a little reading now.
Yeah?
I need to add to my repertoire of fantasy or sci-fi, or a little bit of both?
It is it's definitely fantasy, but it's got elements of sci-fi in a way, in that like the seasons don't really work the same way as our seasons do.
Oh, kind of cool.
Like the whole, well, I don't want to give any spoilers, so for anyone who hasn't read or seen the show yet.
Unlike me, who is dropping spoilers left and right, so.
For what?
Well, we were talking about another movie recently.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I was just
There
giving
is a
plot
3-year
lines.
rule. There's a 3-year rule. If you haven't seen a movie in 3 years, it's fair game.
I think that's fair.
Yes.
I do.
Well, speaking of developments, CNET is reporting the case of Panic developer Kabul Sasser, who noted a glitch on the listing for Panic's new SSH client on the iTunes App Store. It was a product placeholder with the name of ix.mac.marketing name. The glitch was quickly removed, but it has spawned rumors of yet another iOS-based platform. With WWDC just around the corner and a promise to show the future of iOS and macOS 10, are we going to see yet another iProduct announcement coming pretty soon?
I would hope so. I mean, after iPad 2 was kind of expected, I'm really curious about the iPhone 5, but I don't think it's going to be that.
Well, they said there's no iPhone announcements at WWDC.
Okay.
So it's not going to be that. I was assuming just Lion stuff.
Okay.
But I mean, with this new rumors going around, I don't know. It should be pretty interesting.
What would you like it to be? If you could have your choice of the announcement to be released.
I don't care.
No?
I don't really care.
No.
No, I mean, whatever happens, happens. I'm not really like going nuts with rumors this time around.
I was talking to somebody about an Apple television. I would like to see something along that line, perhaps.
Like
maybe
an actual standalone Apple television?
Yeah, with their branding and the way they do their OS and the operating, considering that at least most TVs nowadays are drifting toward the functionality of a smartphone device. Why not have that kind of going into it in a platform basically that has that Apple magic in a way? So
in the way that Google is working with companies like Sony and Toshiba to integrate Google TV into stuff, maybe Apple will do the same, but or do you just mean like a total Apple TV?
Hopefully with a better interface, though, and better controllers as well. And of course, you'd have the whole tie-in.
Does Toshiba have a Google TV plug? Maybe I'm wrong.
Don't know, but I know the Sony ones were selling for half price, which isn't really a good sign.
Not so much of a good sign.
No. Hey, and in keeping with the Apple theme, it seems that PC World has a story about Adobe's recent announcement during NAB last week, declaring that Flash Media Server would be adding support for HLS, an MPEG-2 transport streamed used by devices like the iPad. Now, previously, Apple has steadfastly refused to support Adobe Flash due to performance issues and battery life, basically eliciting this response from Adobe's CEO. For every one of these accusations made, there are proprietary lock-in. Oh, there is proprietary lock-in, apparently shifting blame for the issue back to Apple. Now, we hope that this is a major win for both content creators and iPad users, and hopefully a sign that more video content is heading towards iPads everywhere. A little Flash support would be nice. At first I was like, oh, I could do without it, but then I realized Colbert and Jon Stewart all their stuff is in Flash video.
Yeah.
And it kind of bums me out. I can't watch that on my phone. So.
Yeah, that is kind
Minor.
of the downside, but I think overall, I don't think the Flash on the iOS is going to happen for a very long time, if ever. Well, it seems that after 5+ years, Google is saying so long to Google Video. In an email last Friday and reposted on Mashable, Google announced that it will be shutting down the service on April 29th. Users have until May 13th to download their videos before all content is permanently deleted. This does not mean that the content is going to magically appear on YouTube. It's not going to magically be archived somewhere. It's gone. So make sure you re-download it. The email suggests, of course, that Google users head over to YouTube and start uploading their content there.
You would think that there'd be a way for them to just automatically port that content over. If they're just going to wholesale delete it off of one service,
right?
Move it to the other service that does video that you already own.
I mean, I know it's probably all living in different places because YouTube probably has their own servers and their own stuff going on over wherever they're based.
It could be.
I don't know if it's all in-house at Google now. I think it's probably still wherever.
It should make a one-click option for the people that are at least willing to create accounts on both sides and say, hey, you know what, here's an easy way to port your stuff over without a lot of hassle.
Like import your videos from Google Video.
Totally. Why not?
Why aren't you doing that? You guys have like the smartest brains on the planet. Just do that. Anyway.
Sure. Hey, so for all you people rocking Google Video and you need to shift your content over while you can, well, I mean, it's not like
you have to do it manually, but you should do it.
It's true. I mean, you had to wait, what, 4 years to see the writing on the wall? So there's that aspect. It's not like this was just
I don't know a single person that's still uploading content to Google Video.
I don't either, to be honest with you. YouTube, though, night and day.
For real.
Speaking of things that we associate with writing on the wall, well-known kitchen and bath plumbing fixture maker Kohler is releasing a toilet for the 21st century called the Numi. The so-called smart toilet features various adjustments for seating position, water temperature, water pressure, lighting, and audio. That's right, you can listen to either FM radio or an MP3 player via the audio input jack while you're sitting on the throne. Of course, the Numi is more than just bells and whistles. It's eco-friendly as well, with separate flush cycles that can use 0.6 gallons or 1.28 gallons, depending on the situation.
The situation. The situation. Your situation.
Exactly. Now, Kohler is planning to release the high-tech commode at the end of the month, with the list price for the Techno toilet in the $6,300 range.
So basically,
That's
they're
fancy.
releasing something that they've had in Japan for decades.
Ever.
Yeah.
Forever and ever.
I mean, I went to the Toto showroom. Have you been there?
No, but
yeah, I've been to their showroom.
At one point, I was lusting over those wonderful toilet seats that they make. So
lusting over them.
Lusting. I don't know if that's the right word.
Maybe a poor choice of words.
I don't spend that much time in the bathroom, so.
I don't believe you.
You're
we
right.
all, Kate, whatever.
Showers, I'll stand there.
Well, okay,
half
so the
awake.
thing about the Totos is awesome is that they actually have SD card slots.
Holy cow!
So if you want to import music onto your Toto, it has memory built in as well. But if you want additional memory on your Toto,
is that a USB charger? Basically, if it had a USB port, then I could
don't
plug in my phone and charge it up on.
I don't remember that, but it had mood lighting and it had the whole music thing is so when you're flushing. The whole, the Japanese society is very concerned with, maintaining appearances and not embarrassing people. And this is not a sweeping generalization. I mean, I talked to the Toto people and they explained this is why we have music playing on our toilets.
Customers demand these features.
They want the flush sound, so you can hit the flush sound before you actually flush to mask anything. They've got the music to mask sound. They have scent things, so you can automatically dispense air freshener from your toilet.
All about that for the roommates.
I like how you keep going like this. Anyway, I think it's about time for our first question. And it comes from Ashley, who writes in, how safe is it to use services such as Tor and Hotspot Shield when it comes to logging into things such as email? These programs claim to help stop your personal data being viewable when browsing over a public network, but how safe are they? Obviously, I could set up my own VPN network for when I'm away from home, but what are the security implications of this? Am I leaving a vulnerability in my own network? And what software would you recommend to do this? Ashley in the UK. So you should probably explain what Tor and Hotspot Shield are in the first place, right?
Okay, well, Tor is the onion router, and Tor is designed to basically hide your IP communications through a multi-layer encryption process. And it relays the IP nodes through basically the Tor network. In this way, only the IP that would be given out is the one for basically the exit node. And the goal basically is to disallow governments from tracking the online activities of its citizens, especially dissidents and or political activists. And Hotspot Shield is a private VPN service with the express purpose of offering, quote, privacy and security and anonymity. They offer the service free, but you'll be targeted by ads.
Boo.
Now, in Tor's case, the Onion router, traffic is secure until it exits the final node on the network and out to the requested server that you're trying to access. At this point, the traffic is not secure by Tor and can be subjected to scrutiny. Now, the operator of the final out port could packet sniff all the outflow from his or her machine, pulling up passwords, usernames, if you haven't enabled encryption like using HTTPS. Now, Hotspot Shield in theory encrypts data so that no one outside you can access the data. However, many critics have pointed out that Hotspot's own function of serving you targeted ads contradicts their aim of providing you privacy, security, and anonymity. Furthermore, you have to trust that no one at Hotspot Shield is taking liberties with the data traffic that passes through their network. Now, if you set up your own VPN, you can be sure that no one is eavesdropping. Of course, the same issue with all VPN setups is that as you access a public website, that connection will not be encrypted by VPN, unless you use HTTPS first. Do that. As well, you can bypass firewall security controls of your local network, thereby granting potential access to malware and attacks that would have been blocked in the first place. Now, a free VPN that Patrick loves is Hamachi. It requires zero configuration and is free for non-commercial use. And if any of you have recommendations for VPN options, do shoot us an email at tekzilla@revision3.com.
Yeah, Hamachi's a good way to go.
Is it?
Yeah.
I haven't used that one in particular.
I want to get that set up at some point.
I've just gone through every major website that I use, and if they offer HTTPS access, I just set that up to make that my bookmark instead.
Oh, nice.
I do that with Gmail. Facebook offers that now. And banking, of course, they automatically will do that. But any site you can do that with, it's a good idea just to have that enabled, especially if you're browsing the hotspots at your coffee shops and things like that.
Yeah, that's me. I am your target audience.
Now, what I wonder is, does like my mobile device actually support that as well? And that's where I think I would need more. I need to investigate some of these security options for that, because I'm not sure if I'm actually able to access the secure links.
No, I think you can.
I think you would be too, but
especially
I just want to make
for
sure.
banking sites. At least.
And I'm also wondering too about the apps that I've installed. Are they automatically accessing it via HTTPS as well? And that's
like
something.
the Facebook app or the Gmail app or something like that. Very
That's just a
interesting.
question I have, and I need to verify for my own benefit.
Well, it's time to thank one of our sponsors, The Ben Heck Show. Join modding wizard Ben Heck and friends as they build and modify a host of amazing community-inspired creations. Be sure to watch the most recent episode of The Ben Heck Show. This week, Ben will answer questions from the Element 14 and Revision 3 communities about his builds. Check out the element14.com/TBHS to enter to win one of Ben's most recent builds from the show, the original portable workbench. Offer ends April 30th.
You've heard us get all fangirl and fanboy over Lifehacker.com, from setting up a VPN to, well, a better way to cook oatmeal in the morning. The site is all about making your life work better, hacking your life. We're talking about winning, but not in the Charlie Sheen sense. So I am thrilled to welcome Adam Pash, Lifehacker's maximum leader, to Tekzilla. Adam, dude, your site rocks.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
It's our pleasure. You've actually, for anybody who hasn't heard us talk about it, Lifehacker actually has a new show on Revision 3, the secretively named Lifehacker Show. Revision3.com/Lifehacker comes out every Monday. How's the show compared to the site?
The show is basically a best of the site type of situation, and it's an opportunity for us to sort of show a lot of the things that we talk about in action, show what's cool about them, and then hopefully excite people about to try it out themselves.
Is that kind of the big thrill running a site like this? Because you guys have an amazing, amazing group of users that contribute, you know, whether or not it's like reading through the comments and ideas or actually contributing, you know, extensions and mods. I mean, what's the most interesting thing you guys have, or what seems to be sort of the strongest entrance for the audience these days?
You know, right now it's everything's moving to sort of like mobile OSs. Everyone's really excited about Android things. Everyone's really excited about iOS things. And then apart from that, there's always the standing desks and things that you do in real life that aren't your virtual world that's sort of living in your pocket.
I was actually, I was laughing. I mentioned oatmeal earlier. This morning I was looking on the website, and it was like basically cook a week's worth of breakfast in 5 minutes. And I was like, I have a 3-year-old. This would be useful.
Yes.
Let's talk about something that's actually as close to your heart as it is to ours up here in the Bay Area. Backing up your files off-site, because if memory serves, you're in earthquake country also.
Yes, I am. I'm down in Los Angeles. And we're big proponents of off-site backup at Lifehacker. The basic idea, of course, being that it's great to have copies of your stuff locally. If one of your hard drives crashes, you've got a backup there, and you can quickly get into any of your stuff. But if someone were to come and steal all my computers, or if the big one came and all of my stuff became trash, maybe there'd actually be nice to have a copy on some other server, on some other hard drive that's not sitting in my living room or in my office.
While you're living in the tent city somewhere out near Las Vegas, waiting for Los Angeles to get water and electricity again. Well, and one of the things you guys do at Lifehacker, you've mentioned several times, is that local backup is just as critical as offsite backup. Why is that?
Well, I mean, it's a matter of file redundancy, and you kind of want to have sort of fallback so that if something were to go wrong, on the servers, you may be paying for someone to back up your files, but who knows what will happen. And aside from that, if something does go wrong and you have a catastrophic failure locally, it's a lot harder to get all that data back from them than from a hard drive that you have sitting right in front of you.
So you're currently running on CrashPlan. Is that your offsite backup of choice?
Yeah, I am. I previously had been backing up with Mozy, which was a big favorite of mine for a while. Mozy recently changed so that they changed their pricing plan from $5 a month for unlimited backup to a pay per gigabyte type plan, where I would have started having to pay around $20 a month for what I had backed up, and if you back up a lot, it would have been considerably more. I think I had like 200 gigabytes or something like that. But I moved to CrashPlan. CrashPlan has really great plans that are basically, you can get 2 to 10 computers for their family plan, and it's about I think $10 a month, and if you get like a 4-year plan ahead of time, it's down to something like $6 a month. So it's a really good deal, and they also have a lot of really good sort of features to it. If you don't want to pay for it, they actually have a really clever thing where you can have someone else who has a CrashPlan account, like a friend, hopefully in another city that's not earthquake prone, and you can back up to their computer if they've got extra hard drive space and don't mind you eating up their bandwidth.
I got to ask, do you have sort of an uncapped business line in your home, or are you kind of sweating the data cap when you're backing up large amount of data?
I sweat the data cap, but most of us do, I think.
So any hot inside tips for CrashPlan? Anything you've noticed about CrashPlan that a lot of people haven't figured out yet, or?
I think one of the coolest things about CrashPlan actually is that when you're backing up to their servers, when you're using their account, a paid account, they keep your files there forever, like literally forever, unless you tell them to get rid of them off their servers. But you can have, if you're backing up with them for say years, you could have gone through a lot of different iterations, or like gotten rid of files completely and gone back and sort of, I wonder what my desktop folder looked like 4 years ago. And you could actually like look back at it and recover any of those files if you wanted to. You can also set expiration dates on how long it keeps things, but that backup forever thing, is pretty cool.
I mean, on one hand, I'm kind of with you, because I have sort of iterations of my desktop that I save out because I'm a pack rat and I'm too lazy to go back and sort through terabytes of data. Yeah. Because I seem like I can end up getting about 400 gigabytes of my desktop in about 2 months if I don't pay attention. But what about people who are paranoid about maybe proprietary data, personal data, financial data? Because that's something we get a lot of questions about that, especially recently. There have been some questions around Dropbox. People are talking about CrashPlan, Mozy, Carbonite. Is my data really secure? Can I trust these people?
CrashPlan, I think when you're using their backup to say a friend or something, I think they use like 128-bit encryption. When you're backing up to their site, it's something more like 448-bit encryption, and it's a strong encryption. And if there's a key, you have a lot of control over your encryption keys if you want that control. And at the end of the day, you could set your account so that you could set it so it wasn't keeping things forever, but obviously that doesn't. You also want backup, but it's a matter of trusting them, and you don't have to back up to their servers at all if you don't want to. You can use the service just to back up to a friend's computer or locally, and those backups are also encrypted.
Or you could get seriously paranoid and encrypt everything before you upload it to the encrypted storage on the relatively anonymous site. So Lifehacker.com comes out every Monday at revision 3. What's coming up in the next show? What do you guys, and I got to ask, anything you can tease that's coming up on Lifehacker.com?
Okay, so yeah, let's see. Next week on the show is Evil. It's our Evil episode. During it, we're going to talk about cracking a master padlock. I had a padlock in my home that I had used years ago in a gym, and I'd forgotten the combination, and I tried it out. It worked awesome.
It's actually kind of scary how insecure padlocks are, unless you want to start spending like, especially if people are willing to do destructive attacks, like a portable drill, and 15 seconds will get into like 80% of the padlocks sold on the market.
But if you're not, if you don't want to take a brute force attack like that, brute force in that sense being like physical, it takes like 5 to 10 minutes to crack a master padlock if you know sort of like the way that they work, if you use this method that we talk about on the show. We also talk about building a Hackintosh in that episode, which has always been sort of a favorite of mine.
OS X power without spending insane amounts of money for the Apple case. Not that the Mac Pro is beautiful, but it's just, you pay a lot of money for the same delete expletive motherboard that you can get inside of a PC in a $40 case.
I'm talking on my Hackintosh right now.
It works very well. Adam, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was a real treat for us. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen it, Lifehacker's got a new show up at revision3.com/Lifehacker. And of course, it's up at lifehacker.com. It's a website. If you haven't been there, go there now. You will find something incredibly useful. I do every time I go there.
Even when he's not here, he's still here with us.
Aww.
Yes. And it's time now to thank one of our sponsors, GoDaddy.com. Get reliable, secure web hosting without the long-term contract. GoDaddy's hosting plans are bigger and better than ever with 99.99% uptime, free 24/7 support, and no annual commitment. And if you want even more convenience, you can download GoDaddy's free iPhone, Android, or BlackBerry app to order right from your phone, manage your current domains, and more. Plus, don't forget to check out revision3.com/GoDaddy for a list of all the amazing GoDaddy deals from Revision 3. Looks like it's time for another website we just can't get enough of. A website that we just can't stay away from because it's too useful, too funny, or just too darn irresistible. This week's pick, Cute Roulette. Love cute things? Love getting random videos at the click of a button? Enjoy the idea of chat roulette, but hate seeing, boy parts? Then check out cuteroulette.com. Every time you visit this website, you're guaranteed to see something wonderful, cute, and adorable. Possibly even all of those 3 things at the same time. Done watching a precious video? Hit the next cuteness button and you're instantly taken to another video, possibly even cuter than the last one. It doesn't stop there, people. The more you hit the next cuteness button, the more you'll get something furry and amazing delivered directly to your visual cortex. Well, it goes through your eyes first, but you know what I mean. It's science. Adorable science. Of course, there are the usual sharing buttons for Twitter and Facebook, so you can send the cuteness to other hapless victims. I mean, happy victims. So get a shot of cuteness into your head today at cuteroulette.com.
Hey, we got this question from Carter, who wrote asking, I saw your review of the Anchor Bay DVD-O Edge box some time ago, and I've been salivating over it ever since. I'm seriously considering taking the plunge. Is the Edge still as impressive as it was when you first saw it? If not, what would be a good alternative? For that matter, am I actually on the right track at all for what I'm trying to accomplish? I looked at getting a full-on receiver instead of a dedicated video processor, but I really can't justify spending any money at all to wedge a decent sound system into my tiny New York apartment with my supremely irritable neighbors. I just want to get the absolute best picture possible out of my 47-inch Samsung with its many and varied inputs, including my older game consoles and my trusty and still much used Laserdisc player.
Wow.
Signed, Carter in Manhattan, New York. Well, Carter, we reviewed the DVD-O Edge video processor from Anchor Bay Technologies in HD Nation episode number 43, where we showed off some of its video scaling and processing prowess. The good news is that the Edge has never been better or less expensive. It's about $420 right now on Amazon, and it was recently updated to include support for 3D pass-through. But before you swipe the credit card, make sure you're getting the most out of the devices you currently have. Now, if your source devices provide basically like game consoles and Blu-ray players and DVD players, if they feature HDMI output, use it. The Edge provides 6 auto-switching HDMI inputs, but you can get a capable HDMI switch for the same functionality for about 1/10 the price. You won't have all the fancy video processing, but you have basic switching there. Also, if you have a SD game console like the Wii or something older maybe, that lack HDMI outputs, well, consider upgrading to component video output for those devices. You know, the red, green, blue trio of video cables that you can use to connect it to a device like your television. Use it. Doing so will increase the picture quality and detail, as well as color quality as well. Cables like these are cheap too. You can spend a lot if you buy them directly from, say, like Nintendo in the case of the Wii, but if you get it from a third party, cut that price to about 1/10. Check Amazon and monoprice.com. Those are two great sources for cables like that. Now, the Edge's ability, though, to accept a variety of video input formats from analog and digital sources and then output everything via one HDMI cable is really what it does best. Its video processing is solid, but modern TVs are really no slouches when it comes to effective video processing. So I would say I would like that functionality in an AV receiver with maybe just a set of stereo speakers and maybe a subwoofer as well. And you could probably get that for about the same money if you shop carefully for what you'd spend on the Edge. Maybe with the speakers and the sub, you're going to spend a little bit more.
But what's easier?
The Edge is definitely easier because you're not dealing with speakers. You already have audio you're willing to use, or you're just going to use your TV speakers. I hate to see somebody just focus on absolute video quality and ignore their audio side if they're still using the TV speakers. And like I said, if you're still using component or composite video output on your devices like your Laserdisc player, the yellow cable, if you have component output on that same device, let alone HDMI, switch up to that, and you're dramatically improving the video quality anyway. And that's just one thing to keep. I'd like to see a picture of the Laserdisc personally.
Send us a picture. That would be awesome.
I saw some people selling discs on eBay, I think for like upwards of like $1 to $2 a disc, and I was tempted to just get a couple for, you know, nostalgia, nice. I guess, if nothing else.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, they were kind of expensive back in the day.
It's true.
People just don't throw these things out.
It was the first way you could have that random access in a video format that was so appealing, and now we take it for granted with DVDs and Blu-ray discs, but back then it was something else.
Next it'll be holograms.
Aw, I hope so.
David from California writes in, hello, I recently built a PC with old and new parts. One of the two old parts is my hard drive. It's only 250 gigabytes and it's already full. I'm looking for a new internal hard drive. I have a few questions. Will any hard drive work with my system? If yes, which would you recommend? I'm looking for a hard drive that's at least 1 terabyte. Should I reinstall Windows 7 on the new hard drive? David.
Well, assuming your motherboard has some SATA ports, SATA, then yeah, pretty much any modern 3.5-inch SATA hard drive will work. Now, I personally use Western Digital's Black series of hard drives for my own workstation at home. It provides a good balance between performance and capacity. About $90 for the 1 terabyte model. Samsung has a 1 terabyte spin point drive with similar specs, including a 32 megabytes of cache and a 7,200 RPM spindle speed that sells for even less online. However, an SSD like like this baby, basically a Vertex 3 from OCZ, would make for a very super fast boot drive, but it's currently selling for about $310, and you would still want a 1 terabyte or larger hard disk drive for your bulk storage. Reinstalling the OS, well, it really depends. If you previously created an image of your OS install when it was fresh and clean using a tool like Clonezilla, then you could just apply that image to the new drive, update it, and go. I am, however, a big proponent of clean OS installs on freshly formatted hard drives, especially with OSs like Windows 7, where the process is really easy and it's fast. And depending on the combo of parts used with your newish computer, I'm thinking a fresh install might be the way to go, especially if you've changed up any critical components like you had graphics drivers that were previously installed, or if it's a different motherboard altogether and you're dealing with a totally different chipset, I just say start fresh.
Yeah, I think I had that problem where I tried to reinstall a new hard drive in one of my Windows 7 boxes, and I think there were some issues with the compatibility with the motherboard. I don't know, things acted a little wonky for a while there.
And at least with Windows 7, it's gotten so easy now with that image-based install that it doesn't take very long to do. And I say get used to doing that once a year anyway, just to help clean things up.
Just do it.
Yeah. Hey, here's an interesting follow-up we had from Jeff about the Aloha Bob migration software we mentioned in a previous show. Jeff writes, in episode 203, someone asked a question about migrating from 32-bit Windows 7 to 64-bit. You mentioned a solution called Aloha Bob. This was purchased by Microsoft a few years ago and is now called Windows Easy Transfer.
Of course it is.
Easy. Hey, the tool is in box in Windows 7. I happen to be the dev lead of the Windows team that owns this product. And in fact, some of the engineers that worked on Aloha Bob are now on my team. Windows Easy Transfer can be used to save off, then migrate the data and user accounts to the new OS. Just hit the Windows key and type Windows Easy Transfer to find it. I'm a big fan of the show. Keep up the good work. Jeff from Issaquah, Washington.
How cool is that to get an actual reply from a developer on the product?
And I went right to my notebook and typed in Windows Easy Transfer. Boom, it's right there.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh.
I wonder if they changed the name because of the bad Bob references with Microsoft.
Microsoft Bob.
Microsoft Bob. I know that's why you did that.
Bob. I like the name transfer.
Yeah?
Yeah. Or the name change.
You like the name change?
Windows Easy Transfer.
But it's, well,
I'm
sorry to tease you because I know you actually work on that team, and I know you don't. I don't think you named it that. But just the Windows naming conventions for everything are so sterile sounding.
Had the lead dev not pointed out the name of it, I probably would not have found it. So.
It's kind of obvious now that you know, though, right?
Bookmarked. Here, I can't even do that. Just typed it in again. Hey, it's time to thank one of our sponsors, Netflix. With more than 20 million members, Netflix is the world's largest subscription service, instantly streaming TV episodes and movies over the internet and sending DVDs by mail. Members can instantly watch thousands of titles on a vast array of devices, streaming TV episodes and movies like Microsoft's Xbox 360, Sony's PlayStation 3 game console, and the Nintendo Wii console. As a Netflix Unlimited member, you can instantly watch as many movies as you want, anytime you want, for one low monthly price. There are no late fees or due dates. As a new member and Tekzilla viewer, you can get a free trial membership. Go to netflix.com/Tekzilla and sign up now. Be sure to use this URL so that they know we sent you. Hey, Kyle from South Dakota recently bought a big ol' Optima HD20 projector, lucky duck, but he has a question. Hey crew, I recently made the plunge and grabbed an HD20 on sellout.whoop the other day. I intend to use my regular TV for normal viewing, then use the projector for movie and Halo nights.
Woo.
Yeah, my big question is this. What is the best way to switch all of my HDMI inputs between the two? I haven't even looked into additional equipment yet, so I was hoping you'd be able to point me in the right direction. Thanks, love the show. Signed, Kyle in Brookings, South Dakota.
So I was thinking perhaps something like an HDMI splitter would work.
I like your line of thought.
That way you could have the HDMI on your Xbox or cable box outputting to the two separate screens, that being the projector and the normal TV that you're using. I've seen a few 4x2 which will let you hook up 4 HDMI sources to output to 2 different displays. For example, this 4x2 True Matrix high-speed HDMI powered splitter switch. The important features to note: each input can be independently assigned to a specific output, matrix switching, and one input can be assigned to both outputs simultaneously, splitter function. The one that I saw was $86, but I found the same one on Amazon for $53.
Cool.
Do you have any other suggestions, or does that sound about?
That's a good price. Monoprice is another great site for that kind of gear as well.
You know, I looked on Monoprice, and they only had like 1x2 or 1x4. They didn't have multiple HDMI inputs out to, two outputs.
They need to make their site a little easier to search because
they
do have a couple of matrix switches there, and a 4x2 model I found with an infrared remote for $57.
How'd you find that?
There was 2 of them, or 3 of them. One was an older one. However, the one I looked at, though, specifically for $57, it was listed as a 1.3B rated HDMI. The ports on it were 1.3B HDMI ports, which means A, it'll work really well with 1080, it'll work, period, with 1080p video, and it should support 3D video pass-through just fine. So
I think, I think the one I recommended also was 1080p and had 3D support as well.
Yeah, don't get caught up in the whole you have to have version 1.4 HDMI in order to do 3D. If it's 1.3, the later versions of 1.3, it'll be just fine.
So now you just have to worry about paying for those replacement bulbs.
Ooh, lamp modules. You know what? If you get a couple thousand hours out of it, though, that's a lot of enjoyment.
It's worth it.
Yep, yep. It's a wonderful product to have. An inexpensive projector that you don't mind, you wouldn't be scared to take it outside for use on a warm night, or just to bring it out for friends and family to hook up as a secondary display for doing game consoles and stuff like that. It's perfect use for a device like that.
Yeah, it looked pretty sturdy as far as projectors go.
Mr. Norton owns one.
Then it must be. Well,
is it kid-proof? I don't know.
Yeah, okay. If Seamus spits in it, will it still work?
Don't blow, okay, one tip, don't blow out your running projector with the hot lamp module with a can of compressed gas. The dusters, those dusters tend to be flammable. You will have a fire or a flame shooting out the projector. That's just really not good for it.
And then no more projector.
Don't ask me how I know that.
Yes, well, a recent family explosion, it's not as gruesome as it sounds, we promise, has got Monty curious about home security cameras. Hey, tech crew, my wife and I recently found out that she is pregnant with twins, and I'm sure at least one of them is mine. With the explosion of my family, I am growing more concerned about safety and security in my home. I would like to set up a small security camera system that will allow me and my wife to remotely monitor the baby's rooms and main living areas. I'm overwhelmed. I don't really need anything too fancy, but wireless connectivity to my home network and the ability for us to access the cameras on our Android devices would be preferable. Also, I'd love to say money is no object for the safety of my family, but for these types of conveniences, I only have a lowly programmer's budget. Any help? Love the show. Monty in New Jersey.
Hey, well, first off, congratulations.
Woo,
You're sending a cigar soon, right?
Yeah.
Huh? Monty, please. Yeah. There are many ways you can do this, from setting up a Linux system like ZoneMinder, which allows you to use multiple cameras and control them over the web, to some of the more expensive kits from, say, Logitech, which can run you anywhere from $300 to $700.
Yeah, they're a little up there. My personal favorite solution for this problem is DropCam. For $199, you get a camera. That's $199, not $1.99. You get a camera which you can view over the internet with your own personal site link that you can keep private or share with friends and family members. So if you do want to have like baby sharing fun time, you can set that up and then send the link out to your entire family. It's super easy to set up. It literally takes about 2 minutes. And you can also view the video on your Android or iOS devices. So the Android part is covered. I know that was important to you to be a feature. So this might be a good option. Check out dropcam.com for more info. The only thing I'm not sure about is adding additional cameras to that existing setup.
I'm a big fan of Panasonic's IP cameras as well. They have a couple of wireless devices, but any of those cameras that allow you the web page access, I think are great, with password protection, of course, so anybody just can't view it. But
there's a lot of very hackable ways to do that. I know they're out there, but you wanted simple and you wanted something that wasn't good, you weren't going to have to throw a lot of money at.
And you also want to make sure do you get audio in general with these types of cameras?
Yes.
Okay.
With the DropCam, you can do audio, but you can also make sure it's turned off. So if you have it on, like I used to have it on to watch the cats during the day, but that was when Ryan was using the, working from home. So I made sure the audio was off, so there was no way that anyone could listen into conversations.
Do they also offer maybe two-way audio?
Singing to the cats, for example. That would be totally embarrassing. He never does that.
You come home and
he's not going to let me live that one down. That never actually happened.
Hey,
Anyway.
if any of you viewers out there have had any luck with easy to set up home security cameras, we would love to hear from you. So please do email us at Tekzilla@revision3.com.
Yes, and then finally a note for Robert here about that handy Windows key. Hello, Robert. On the last show, you mentioned you never use the Windows key except to call up the Windows menu. I have 2 suggestions for the key that I use all the time. Win+D equals show the desktop. Win+E equals Windows Explorer. Very handy key combos. Keep up the good work. Love the show, Dave.
Windows E, I like that one.
Yeah.
Also in Windows 7, everyone seems to forget that in the bottom right corner next to the clock, there's like a clear button that looks like it doesn't do anything, but if you just hover over it, it also reveals the entire desktop too.
Ooh.
It's there. Use it.
I have not explored my Windows 7 setup as much as I
Do you
feel
use the
like I should
Snap to
have.
stuff where you drag a window to the left, to the right, and it'll split the screen 50-50? I think I use that feature more than any other feature in the whole operating system.
No, I haven't used that.
You got like one browser, just drag it to the left side, another browser, drag it to the right.
We should do an episode of like Windows 7 fun tips you may not have noticed before if you don't use it that often and only for gaming.
Speaking of tax, we just finished up tax time, and I was at my CPA's office, and I showed him that feature. Boom, he's using it all the time with all his clients, and he's like,
nice.
It's crazy, but he didn't
Tech
give
support in funny places.
And he didn't give me a discount, so that's okay. And if you want us to keep delivering the best in technology news, help, and how-tos, we need your help. Send us your email and video questions, comments, and suggestions to Tekzilla@revision3.com.
And of course, that's not the only way to interact with us. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Tekzilla. Plus, you can also reach us on Twitter at Tekzilla, at Patrick Norton, at Veronica, and at Robert Heron. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Hey, I'm Robert Heron.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Hey, until next time, you've been watching Tekzilla.
You've got to watch Game of Thrones.
I will.
Do you have
I'm
HBO?
intrigued. No, I don't.
I
But
bought it for that reason.
Is it season 1?
Yeah, they just had the first episode last night.
You know what? I'm more about waiting for the first season to get it on disc.
And then, oh, I know. I know. Because I have sunshine in my smile.
And Hotspot Shield. Oop.